we're heading towards Copenhagen, Denmark. We're recording Ride the Lightning, which is the second album, at Sweet Silence Studio, where some early Merciful Fate demos have been recorded. The two latest Rainbow albums have been recorded there. It's a real good sound, real good house engineer. And it's gonna sound, more ballsy than Kill 'Em All. It's gonna have, more rougher, because Kill 'Em All was a bit too polished, I think. There's the song Fight Fire with Fire, which is, faster than Motor Breath. Oh, God. But, this, I'd say, 3 real fast songs. The rest, kind of, they're, fast, but have, kind of a little bit like Seek, something real with a hook in it, you can remember, more musical talent put into it, And we're playing Ride the Lightning and Creeping Death possibly for encore. Which is, more like Four Horsemen type songs.
Released on July 27, 1984, independently through Megaforce Records, Metallica's Ride the Lightning was the spark that set US thrash metal up to become the most popular genre in rock and roll, maybe in music. A sentiment that in 1984 was absolutely ridiculous. With artists like Van Halen, Prince, and Cyndi Lauper dominating the airwaves, the thought of a group of dirty young metalheads from California taking over music was likely met with rolled eyes and pretentious snickers. In celebration of this monumental record reaching its 40th anniversary, I did a little digging, and here's what I found out about Metallica's Ride the Lightning. Before I get into it, I just wanted to remind you to please like the video and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. That's the best way to support the channel, and it's free to do. If you want to support further, you can check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description where for as little as $2 a month, you'll get extended and unedited versions of videos, early uploads when guests are on the show, blocked videos that may have gotten taken down for whatever reason, and most importantly, you get input on the channel and access to our Patreon exclusive Discord server where I'm active almost every day and we hang out in there quite a bit. I put a lot of hours in this every week, and the channel, with ad revenue, I get almost nothing. So your support on Patreon is incredibly important and very much appreciated. So thank you, and I appreciate it. All right, back to Metallica. Ride the Lightning was recorded in 3 weeks with producer Flemming Rasmussen at Sweet Silence Studios in Copenhagen, Denmark. The album's cover art, based on a concept by the band, depicts an electric chair being struck by lightning flowing from the band's logo. The title was taken from a passage in Stephen King's novel The Stand, in which a character uses the phrase to refer to execution by electric chair. Back in the early days of Metallica, James Hetfield really hated being the face of the band and having to do the vocals. After their first record, Kill 'Em All, he declared he did not want to front the band any longer. He was very shy back in those days and wanted to only play rhythm guitar. Personally, I can't imagine anyone other than him being the singer for Metallica. It's just weird to even consider another voice on songs like Fade to Black, Master of Puppets, and One. After discussing this declaration made by James, John Bush, the singer of Armored Saint, was asked if he wanted to sing for the band. He politely declined because at the time, Armored Saint was an established band that was doing pretty well. That has to be one of the biggest mistakes in the history of music or entertainment. I bet in hindsight, this one just kills that poor guy. The bell at the beginning of For Whom the Bell Tolls, not actually a bell. Like, seriously, what the hell, guys? It's actually just an anvil that Lars Ulrich hit with a really large hammer. I mean, it sounds like a bell to me, but, now that I know that, it may just change the way I hear it forever. Also, the opening riff on that song isn't a guitar, it's a bass. The origins of this song go all the way back to when Cliff Burton was in another band called Agents of Misfortune. The reason the riff wasn't on Kill 'Em All is because Cliff had just joined the band around that time and the whole record was already completed. So he likely just put it in his back pocket until they were writing music for the next album, which ultimately became Ride the Lightning. Cliff Burton was a magician, man. R.I.P. to one of the GOATs. More on Cliff Burton and Ride the Lightning. The guitar harmonies at the end of both Fade to Black and Creeping Death were created by him. And the intro on Fight Fire with Fire was also written by him. Maybe that's why the album has such a unique and original sound. You've got two tried and true thrash writers in James and Lars, talents bolstered by the thrash metal wizardry of Cliff Burton. I don't know, but I'll assume that's the case. When Hell Freezes Over was the original name for the song Call of Cthulhu. And they also misspelled the word Cthulhu, and they say it was intentional because, quote, saying his name gives him more power, end quote. Not sure what that has to do with misspelling it in a song title, but okay. I think they may just be covering for a huge blunder that would make them look kind of stupid. And all reports are that the band absolutely hate the spelling that they used for that song on the record. Metallica had never written a ballad before Ride the Lightning. The song Fade to Black is their first one. According to James Hetfield, the song is a direct result of some depressing situations the band found themselves in around the time that he was writing for this record. They had recently had most of their equipment stolen, including his first guitar amp, and that held a lot of sentimental value to him. Kirk Hammett also stated that in addition to the stolen equipment, the band was incredibly homesick, and that was a huge inspiration for some of the lyrics. They'd been in Denmark for over 6 months while recording the album, and everyone but Lars had to stay in the recording studio since they couldn't afford housing otherwise. The reason they were in Denmark to begin with was that it was cheaper than the US recording studios, and for the same money being spent, they could get about 3 times the studio time. Lars, he's from Denmark, so of course he bailed on his homies to stay in a more comfortable place. But yeah, those experiences birthed what is one of the all-time metal ballads in Fade to Black. This was the last album that Dave Mustaine had any writing credits on. He has a credit on the title track, and then again on the Call of Cthulhu. I'm kind of surprised that you get a song credit for those riffs, if I'm honest, but I like Megadeth a lot, and so I want Dave to get what's owed. The song Trapped Under Ice has some music on it that Kirk Hammett originally wrote for his previous band Exodus, and it was included on their album Tempo of the Damned from 2012 in the song Impaler. That song was originally supposed to be on the album Bonded by Blood from 1985, but it was removed when Kirk left Exodus to join Metallica. Not sure the reasoning for including it on an album all those years later, though. It's kind of weird if you ask me. Also, in Creeping Death, Kirk used an old riff from an Exodus track called Die by His Hand. That's only available on a live demo recording from like 1982 or something. As someone on the Encyclopedia Metallium website said about the Exodus song, the riff Kirk wrote just doesn't fit in the Exodus song in my opinion. It just kinda comes out of nowhere. It sounds nothing like the rest of the song in tone or anything, and is played way too fast compared to how epic it sounds on the Metallica version. I'd say why Kirk had some great ideas on this song, he perfected them once he took them over to Metallica, end quote. After listening to them both back to back a few times, I'd have to agree with what he said. Ride the Lightning is James Hetfield's favorite Metallica album, which I find pretty rad because it's either my number 1 or my number 2 Metallica record as well. And in addition to that, Lars and James, who are credited with writing almost this entire record, were only aged 20 and 22 years respectively while writing and recording this masterpiece. That is absolutely nuts that an album of this caliber can be written by essentially a couple of homeless metalhead kids. Also, this is the album with the most input from Cliff Burton. I believe he has 6 writing credits on this record. The album originally had only 7 songs, but the label wanted another track and something a little shorter for the radio. So Metallica quickly wrote the song Escape while in the studio. They hated that song, and they didn't play it live for a number of years until they played the entire album at a fest in 2012. The sound we get on Ride the Lightning is very unique and timeless, not only due to the mix and master of the record, but I think that the amalgamation of sounds you get from combining 5 of the greatest metal musicians of all time in James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, Cliff Burton, Lars Ulrich, and Kirk Hammett together on one epic thrash album is something that could never be replicated. We got an incredible piece of art that is also a time capsule. Losing Cliff Burton to an awful car wreck and then Dave Mustaine being replaced by Kirk both meant that we get contributions from all 5 of these musicians on this album, making it incredibly unique and, in my opinion, maybe the most important thrash metal record of all time. Ride the Lightning also being the first album to have Kirk writing on it meant that we got to hear things that would become known as signature Metallica sounds while still in their infancy. Kirk has a very unique way of writing solos that are intricate and bluesy while still being able to shred super fast and chaotic when needed. He's such a great guitar player, and Ride the Lightning showcased that. He was all about the song, too. He just wanted to write good songs. If a solo needed to be a little more simple or a bit slower in order to craft a better song, Kirk would go that direction. Not so much worried about showcasing his technical ability or playing as fast as he could just to prove that he could do it. He wanted to write good Metallica songs. Just another reason that Ride the Lightning is so good.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Fucking ride the lightning!
Ride the Lightning definitely has a theme throughout the record. James was going through some depression at the time of writing this record, and all 8 songs that made the cut are songs that have to do with death. Fight Fire with Fire is about nuclear warfare and the end of days, Armageddon. Ride the Lightning is about someone being put to death in an electric chair, and at that being put to death under false accusations. For Whom the Bell Tolls is about the fact that time doesn't stop and the end is coming for all of us. Fade to Black, I mean, do I really need to explain this one? It's a ballad about depression and dying. Trapped Under Ice seems to be about someone who is cryogenically frozen and then maybe they wake up early and couldn't get out of the frozen state. I don't know, that one's kind of hard to interpret, but it feels very dark nonetheless. Escape sounds like a song about suicide if I'm being honest. Creeping Death is yet another song that you should understand pretty easily how it's about death. Apparently, they were watching the movie The 10 Commandments from the 1950s, and at one point, a shadow that was representing death crawls over a bit of ground towards some people that it was going after, and Cliff said something along the lines of, "Hey, look, it's Creeping Death," and James just liked the way it sounded, and the rest is history. The Call of Cthulhu is an instrumental track that ends the album, but we know the demo title for the song was When Hell Freezes Over, which to me can easily be interpreted as a song about death, even without lyrics. Metallica wanted to set the world record for playing on all 7 continents in 1 year, and when they played Antarctica, to the dismay of many of their fans, they did not include the song Trapped Under Ice on the set list. My personal opinion of this is that they were just trolling people. I think that it's hilarious that that song wasn't played on Antarctica. Okay, so that's what I could find on the history and trivia surrounding Metallica Ride the Lightning. It's the greatest thrash record of all time. How'd I do? Did I miss anything? I'm sure someone's going to be unhappy in the comments, so let me have it. Oh, yeah, one last thing. The producer of the album, Flemming Rasmussen, he was actually quoted saying that he had to send Kirk Hammett to the shower during the recording process of this album because he smelled so bad. I just wanted to let you know about that because I thought it was funny. I think as young punk rockers and metalheads, we've all been there. Anyways, this was fun, man. So what other albums are hitting major milestones? What other subjects would you like me to cover? Yeah, I don't know. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to hit 10,000 subs this year, and all the hard work's paying off, but I need your help, and we're getting close. I'm happy with the way things are going, but I'm trying to bring, quality content to the platform, and the only way to do that is, unfortunately, with other people's help. But, man, I see that you're out there supporting, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you very much. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video, all right? Peace.